For more analysis on this, we're joined by Matt Smith. He's the lead analyst at Kpler. Thanks for joining us from Louisville. Let me start with this. Why the timing of all this? I find it strange personally, but I suppose from a business perspective, these producers aren't happy that the price has dropped so much, but I guess consumers are happy.
Yeah, exactly, Phil. And so we had a bit of a taste of this last month. So last month, OPEC cut production by 100,000 barrels a day. So a very small amount, but yet it was very symbolic. And so now, a month ahead, we've seen the price come off even further, and now they've really come out and cut by a lot more. And so it seems as if there is just this emphasis really coming through here on them wanting to keep prices stabilized. They want to keep this kind of solidarity, particularly with Russia within their fold too. And so they're wanting to support prices around this $90 a barrel level. And so that's why we've had this kind of this large headline number come out, but the reality is that they're not actually cutting by 2 million barrels a day. They just had a target previously, and they've dropped that by 2 million barrels a day. Now they were not achieving that previous target. They were sort of 3 million barrels a day below that, and so the actual optics of this are not quite as bad as they may seem at first blush.
We have cuts to global economies around the world, which means cuts to global energy demand, which likely means lower, I guess, oil prices. Is that what OPEC is telling us, that things look gloomy going forward? So they feel like they have to cut now to get those prices back up again because they're planning for something in 2023 that maybe the rest of us don't know yet.
Potentially. So from the demand side of the picture, we're not seeing things that bad for now. So it would appear that this is a preemptive strike by OPEC here, trying to get ahead of things. But at the same time too, as well, they're looking to support prices too. So it's a little bit of a mixed message there, because we're not seeing this doom and gloom yet, but the fear of that coming through is perhaps what has caused them to make this change. The challenge is that from a producer perspective, they want that higher price, whereas larger consumers, such as the US, want those prices lower. So if they're looking to try and support those prices, that is viewed negatively by the US, but they're essentially trying to meet their budgetary needs. And so that's why they're pulling that supply off the market. The key thing as well is that OPEC over the last couple of years have really zoned in on being stable or having this stability. So they're trying to have stability by controlling the market. And this is surely a move here to really pull the levers of trying to do that.
Right, but the timing is questionable. We have that little situation that's happening in Ukraine right now that I think may supersede stability, because things haven't been stable. I mean, it's far from stable. If OPEC's mission is to be stable, they've failed in every way possible. And it's not all their fault. It's just geopolitics of what's happening in the world. Does this cut in demand help or hurt Russia?
This helps Russia because it brings some support through for prices. But at the same time, too, as well, we're in a situation where we don't know what is going to be happening in 2 months' time. The sanctions coming through on Russia. But in terms of putting a stake in the ground, this is definitely OPEC seemingly siding with Russia as opposed to siding with the West. But at the same time, too, as I say, they're coming at it from this producer angle of trying to support prices there. But I agree with you in terms of the timing of this. It's very much decisive. It's trying to front run that potential issue, whereas that hasn't even happened yet.
These, I know this is a slightly separate question, but these price caps that we talk about oil, specifically Russian oil, how much impact did that have on what OPEC Plus decided to ultimately, I guess, do?
I don't think it had too much to involve there. There was a comment out of Saudi about saying these are known unknowns, and so we're knowing that it is coming through. EU have obviously said we're looking to implement something here. We don't know what that price is. You've had the Russians from the other side of it saying, look, if anyone's going to try and implement a price cap on us, we're not going to supply oil to them. And so there's very much still this standoff happening here. So I think that's an aside from what is happening here with OPEC. But regardless, we're set for a very uncertain few months coming through here with those sanctions looming.
Yeah, Matt, you've done such a good job of answering some of these questions. that you get the last shot at this one. Is, are oil prices going to be higher or lower at the end of this year?
I would think that we're going to see them higher, not only just because of what happened today, and that is an influence, but also just as we approach those sanctions. I think we're going to see the weaponizing of oil by Russia. We've already seen it on the natural gas side of things. So because of that, I think we're going to see higher prices into the end of this year.
Yeah, and the end result is likely higher inflation for the rest of the world if you're at least looking at the energy prices. So I don't see that as really good news for the global economy. Matt, I wish we had more time. We're going to have you back again. I got a ton more questions. Matt Smith, thank you very much.